You are a puppet, right now, this moment. Without knowing it, invisible strings control every move you make, every midnight craving, every mindless scroll, every promise you break to yourself by noon. You call it choice. You call it living free. You call it being human. It's slavery with better marketing. The puppet show is magnificent. The illusion is perfect. Every puppet convinced it chose to raise its hand, chose to turn its head, chose to reach for the poison disguised as pleasure. But watch the strings. Follow them up. See who holds them. They study your weaknesses in climate-controlled rooms while you stumble through grocery aisles, filling carts with engineered addiction. They A/B test your breaking points while you believe you're just browsing. They weaponize your brain chemistry while you think you're making authentic choices. But here's what they never accounted for. Here's the flaw in their perfect system. Here's the crack in their matrix of control. What if the puppet learned to cut its own strings? This is not about willpower. This is not about discipline. This is about something far more dangerous. Something that turns slaves into sovereigns. Something that transforms puppets into the ones who pull the strings. This is the dark art of self-control. And by the end, you will burn with the black flame of absolute freedom. But first, you must see the invisible master that owns you. The recognition ritual. Every morning before touching your phone, look in a mirror and name 3 strings that pulled you yesterday. Not to judge, not to shame, but to see. The puppet cannot break free until it recognizes its own strings. Welcome to the feeding ground. This is where they harvest you, where they bleed you dry while convincing you you're being nourished, where they make you beg for your own destruction. You recognize this creature, don't you? You've been this creature. Maybe you are this creature right now as these words reach your enslaved ears. Here's the truth they hide in plain sight. Every convenience is a cage. Every app notification is a fish hook piercing your consciousness. Every personalized recommendation is a psychological trigger pulled by someone who studied your weaknesses in a laboratory. The sugar industry didn't want your money. They wanted your neurochemistry. The social platforms didn't want your attention. They wanted your agency. The entertainment complex didn't want your time. They wanted your ability to exist without constant stimulation. But the horror runs deeper. Because the enemy isn't just in the boardrooms and laboratories. The enemy isn't just in the algorithms and addiction centers. The enemy is in the mirror. And until you face that enemy, until you stop losing to yourself, you'll dance on strings forever. You want to know why you keep failing? Why you keep breaking promises to yourself? Why you keep choosing comfort over character? Because you're fighting the wrong war. And in that war, your most dangerous opponent isn't the world. It's the divided self staring back at you in the shattered glass. The integration decree. Before every decision today, ask, does this serve the sovereign I'm becoming, or does it feed the slave I'm leaving behind? No committee, no debate, no negotiation with weakness. One voice decides. One will commands. Listen to the war council in your head. I'll start tomorrow. I deserve this. Just this once. I'm stressed. Life is short. I've earned it. Each voice thinks it's you. Each voice believes it speaks truth. Each voice is a traitor selling you to the highest bidder of immediate gratification. You see this version? The one that makes elaborate plans Monday morning and abandons them by Tuesday night? The one that swears never again every single time? The one that has more fresh starts than actual finishes? This isn't your weak self. This isn't your undisciplined self. This is your divided self. And a house divided cannot stand against the unified assault of a world engineered to break you. Every self-help guru tells you to find your motivation. Every productivity expert tells you to optimize your willpower. Every life coach tells you to believe in yourself. They're all wrong. The battle isn't between you and temptation. The battle is between the committee in your head and the sovereign you could become. The battle is between the democracy of desires and the monarchy of will. Self-betrayal is the first defeat. Every broken promise to yourself teaches your subconscious that your word means nothing. Every negotiation with your standards proves your standards are negotiable. Every choice of comfort over commitment programs you to always choose comfort over commitment. But here's the revelation that changes everything. The moment you stop being at war with yourself is the moment you become ungovernable by everyone else. One voice, one vote, one sovereign decree cutting through the chaos of competing desires. Yet even unified will needs a weapon. And the most terrifying weapon in human interaction isn't what you'd expect. The lion's pause. Before reacting to any provocation today, count 3 breaths. Watch how others reveal themselves in their desperation to pull you into their emotional frequency. Your restraint will disturb them more than any retaliation could. They fear the wrong things. They fear the snarling dog. They fear the raised voice. They fear the clenched fist and the puffed chest and the obvious displays of dominance. They should fear the silence. Study this restraint. This is not weakness masquerading as strength. This is not passivity disguised as patience. This is concentrated lethality, choosing its moment. Watch the power dynamics shift. Notice how the loud ones grow louder, desperate to pierce his silence. See how they reveal their insecurities, their agendas, their desperation in their need to make him react. This is restraint as a weapon, not the suppression of power, but power waiting for the perfect moment to be unleashed. Not the absence of violence, but violence so controlled it appears as peace. The reactive man can be baited into any trap. The emotional man can be manipulated through his feelings. The impulsive man telegraphs every move. But the restrained man? The restrained man is unreadable, unpredictable, ungovernable, because he understands the most terrifying truth in human dynamics. Power is not what you do. Power is what you could do, but choose not to. Your restraint terrifies them because they cannot predict when or if you will strike. Your silence forces them to fill the void with their own insecurities. Your calm makes their chaos look childish. But restraint alone is just potential. To become truly ungovernable, you must forge this restraint into permanent strength. And that requires entering the sacred fire. The Forge Discipline. Choose 3 daily rituals, one that begins your day, one that ends it, one that happens at exactly the same time every day. No exceptions, no negotiations, no committee meetings. For 30 days, these are sacred law. Watch how eliminating choice in small things gives you dominion over everything. Power is not built in moments of inspiration. It's not forged in the heat of motivation. It's not crafted when you feel like it. It's not built during the highlight reels of your life. Power is built in the repetitive, mundane, unglamorous moments when no one is watching. The 5 a.m. alarm when your body screams for sleep. The cold shower when your skin begs for warmth. The meditation cushion when your mind demands distraction. The workout when your muscles cry for rest. You think transformation happens in dramatic moments. You think discipline is about willpower. You think self-control is about fighting your nature. You're looking at it backwards. Watch them. They don't debate whether they feel like praying. They don't wait for inspiration to meditate. They don't check their mood before following their schedule. The ritual exists independent of their feelings. Here's what separates the controlled from the chaotic. Ritual eliminates choice. Every decision is a chance to negotiate with weakness. Every choice is an opening for self-betrayal. But ritual bypasses the committee in your head. Your morning routine isn't a collection of habits you hope to maintain. It's a sacred ritual that forges your soul. Your evening practices aren't suggestions you follow when convenient. They're non-negotiable appointments with the person you're becoming. Because every ritual is a vote. Every consistent action is a declaration. Every repetition is a reinforcement of identity. You're not trying to control your impulses. You're forging a self that doesn't have those impulses. The forge has shaped you. The fire has refined you. But now you must test what you've become in the arena where true power is measured, in the presence of others. And when they feel what you've become, they will kneel without knowing why. The sovereignty practice. Enter every interaction today, needing nothing from the other person. No validation, no approval, no specific outcome. Simply exist as you are and watch how reality reorganizes around your frequency when you stop begging to belong. Power has a frequency. You feel it before you see it. The electromagnetic field of someone who governs themselves completely. The invisible pressure of a will that bends to no chaos. The quiet authority of someone who has stopped begging to belong. Watch the courtiers. Notice how conversation changes tone. See how people become more deliberate with their words, more conscious of their movements. This is not fear. This is recognition. They sense something they cannot name. They feel something they cannot categorize. They experience something they cannot manipulate, control, or predict. They are in the presence of someone who needs nothing from them. No desperation, no hidden agenda, no secret hunger for validation, no anxiety about opinions, no fear of rejection, no need for inclusion. This is sovereignty in human form. The controlled person doesn't demand respect. They command it by existing. They don't prove their worth. They demonstrate it through their refusal to seek external validation. They don't fight for their place. They create space simply by being themselves without apology. Here's what happens when you become ungovernable. Others reveal themselves to you. Their masks slip. Their pretenses crumble. Their true motivations surface like oil on water. Not because you're trying to expose them, simply because your calm presence makes it impossible for them to maintain their performances. This is the aura of someone who validates themselves. This is the gravitational pull of someone complete within themselves. This is the electromagnetic field of someone who has learned the ultimate secret. Needing nothing from others makes you ungovernable by everyone. But true sovereignty requires one final liberation. You must break the last chains that still bind you to the slavery of need. The detachment discipline. Identify 3 things you're most afraid of losing. For each, spend 10 minutes imagining life without it, not in despair, but in acceptance. Practice needing them less. Watch your power grow as your attachments shrink. Freedom is not what they taught you. They told you freedom was having enough money to buy whatever you want. They told you freedom was having enough power to control your circumstances. They told you freedom was having enough influence to bend others to your will. They lied. Real freedom is needing so little that nothing can be taken from you. Real power is caring so little about outcomes that you cannot be threatened. Real control is being so detached from results that you cannot be manipulated. Study him. See how his identity isn't tied to his title. Notice how his sense of self doesn't depend on circumstances. Observe how his peace isn't conditional on success. Every attachment is a chain waiting to be yanked. Every desperate need is a weakness that can be exploited. Everything you cannot live without becomes a weapon others can use against you. The man who must have respect can be controlled through his reputation. The woman who must have money can be manipulated through her finances. The person who must be liked can be governed through social pressure. But the person who needs nothing, that person cannot be bought, cannot be threatened, cannot be broken. This is not about giving up. This is not about not caring. This is not about becoming emotionally dead. This is about understanding that your worth is not determined by your wealth. Your identity is not defined by your achievements. Your peace is not dependent on your circumstances. When you stop needing external validation, you become unmanipulatable. When you stop fearing loss, you become unstoppable. When you stop depending on outcomes, you become ungovernable. Here's the paradox. The less you need, the more you have. The less you fear losing, the more you're willing to risk. The less you depend on others, the more others depend on you. Because when you no longer beg to belong, you become the storm others seek shelter in. When you no longer chase approval, you become the standard others measure themselves against. The chains lie broken. The cell stands empty. But your transformation is not complete. One final fire remains, the flame that will burn away everything you were and forge you into everything you're meant to become. The Sovereign's Oath. Speak these words and mean them. I am no longer the puppet dancing to invisible strings. I am the sovereign of my own soul, the master of my own mind, the director of my own destiny. I do not beg to belong. I do not negotiate with weakness. I do not bow to chaos. I am the calm in the storm, the fire in the darkness, the steel in the soft world. I pull my own strings now. I choose my own dance. I burn with the black flame of pure will, and reality bends to my frequency. This is not who I hope to become. This is who I am. This is not the end. This is the transformation. You thought mastery meant suppression. You thought control meant denial. You thought discipline meant war against your own nature. You were looking at it backwards. True mastery is not suppression. True mastery is transmutation. Not killing the fire, controlling the burn, not denying the storm, becoming the eye of it, not eliminating desire, directing it. Watch this transformation. See how you move through the same environment that once controlled you. The hooks are still there. The manipulations still operate. But something fundamental has changed. The cravings haven't disappeared. They've been converted to fuel. The anger hasn't been suppressed. It's been forged into clarity. The pain hasn't been numbed. It's been transformed into strength. This is the black flame. Not the destructive fire of impulse, but the creative fire of will. Not the chaotic burn of emotion, but the focused laser of purpose. Not the wild conflagration that consumes everything, but the controlled burn that refines everything. You have learned to transmute base metal into gold, fear into wisdom, weakness into strength, chaos into order. You have become an alchemist of your own soul. The puppet strings that once controlled you now lie severed at your feet. Not because you cut them in anger, but because you outgrew them. Not because you fought them, but because you became something they could no longer attach to. You are no longer the puppet. You are the puppeteer, not of others, but of your own destiny. You pull your own strings now. You choose your own movements. You direct your own dance. Look in the mirror now. See what you have become. Not perfect. Perfection is static, and you are dynamic. Not without desire. Desire is fuel, and you burn efficiently. Not without feeling. Feeling is information, and you process it clearly. You have become something that cannot be bought, cannot be broken, cannot be bent to another's will. You bend reality through sheer presence. Others sense but cannot name what you are. They fear but cannot fight what you've become. They respect but cannot explain why. You are a storm in human form. Not the destructive tempest that tears everything down, but the eye of the hurricane, perfectly calm while absolute power swirls around you. This is your identity transformation. This is who you have become. This is who you were always meant to be. You are the storm. You are the flame. You are untouchable. The puppet theater burns behind you. The strings lie severed. The chains have turned to dust. You walk forward into a world that bends to your frequency, carrying the black flame of pure will within your chest, invisible to others, but nuclear in its power. This is not who you hope to become. This is who you are. You are MENTALLICA,